So you can see my workbench is empty. Now if I go to a note, such as this one on spaced repetition, and I can use some of these macros that I've programmed in here, basically I click the button and it runs my hotkey for me. I don't really need to remember the hotkeys. I can just press the button because I know what they are. So if I press this one right here when I'm on this line, it will add this to my workbench note. If I can go back here, you can see the block references there, but now on my workbench there's something here, and it's that transcluded block reference. So now it's already added into here. If I want to clear out everything, I have a little brush and a little broom handle here with a pencil to let me know that that's my workbench, clean it up. Do that, it'll actually run all that stuff for me, clean up my workbench, and then select that note for me, all from within the Stream Deck. Welcome back everyone. If you're new here, my name is Bryan Jenks, and today we're going to be talking about how I use my Elgato Stream Deck to work with Obsidian. I got this Stream Deck for my streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and just to make my streams better, but I also really love automation and any way to string together multiple actions, macros for productivity, and just to be more efficient and to achieve more with less. So I use this Stream Deck for a variety of different purposes. Anki, for Obsidian, for streaming, video creation, video editing, that's a big one. And I use it for a lot of different things, but I also do use this with Obsidian, and quite a lot if I'm at my desk. So I'm going to show you what I use, how I did this, how I set it up, and how it works. So you might be asking, what is a Stream Deck? A Stream Deck, it's not isolated to just Elgato. There are other ways and other options and other things. I just chose the Elgato Stream Deck because of the graphics you can have inside of the actual keys. It's kind of the thing to get these days, and I wanted to try it out. Plus, being able to see the keys and being able to customize them so you know exactly what they're doing without having to cut out stickers and other things, really useful. So there's a lot of things we can do with Stream Decks. There's a lot of built-in functionality, but you can also string together other types of controls. And some of the really cool things I've been able to do are, I want to have it open up a terminal, then run some text. That text could just be, or inserting text, and that text is just a command, then a hotkey to then press enter. So basically I can have it run terminal commands, open up a terminal, run a command, close the terminal, and have that functionality executed. And I make a lot of great use with that. Now, the way we actually work with Stream Decks is there's an interface right like this that once you install the Stream Deck software, that you can have all these pre-built, all these options to integrate with Twitch, with Streamlabs OBS, with regular OBS, with a lot of other types of already built-in functionality, and you can even get a couple more. But where the real power is how you string together these different pieces of functionality, or multi-actions. For instance, I can go to my, let's see, what do I have here? I have YouTube right here. I have links to different pages in my YouTube studio. I have different views in my OBS. For instance, I'm recording right now, and I do use this Stream Deck to record videos, to edit videos, to do a lot of other types of things to help me automate the production for this channel. So for instance, right here, I'm on my webcam view, where I'm actually showing, the webcam and the desktop, so my screencasting view. But if I wanted to show just the desktop, I can press that key. You can see it changes color too. If I want to go back, there we are. And as I press this other key, now it's just on my webcam. And just like that, I'm able to easily switch between scenes and then record clips or not, and different pieces of functionality like that. And that is a very simple example of how I use this for things like video automation. Now, where I really started to dive into this is how I could automate certain pieces of Obsidian. And now how I use this with Obsidian is it's really fun what you can really make this thing do. Now, the main reason I did buy this Stream Deck was to stream on Twitch. So I do primarily use it for that, but this is also what I'm just making use of, is how I can work this in with all of the other types of work and things that I do to automate them as much as possible, or just reduce friction between action and results. So, if you want to follow me on Twitch, I do stream Thursdays and Fridays, at least that's what I'm aiming for these days. And so let's jump right into using this Stream Deck and see what we can do. Now with the Stream Deck, we have the ability to have different profiles. I'm currently on my default profile, which means that I can go into any of these folders, access commands at will, and I can just use the buttons themselves. For instance, this one will actually open up a iTerm terminal for me, or Finder for me. And what that lets me do is easily just go to the commands I need to use when I want to use them. And One thing that this is really useful for is I can just maneuver and traverse around my different commands as I see fit and do whatever I want to do. Now, one really awesome piece of functionality with this is that you can set up different profiles. And a profile is, hey, if I'm using this specific application, change the interface and show me a whole new set of commands. So for instance, if I open up Anki to do some flashcard studying, it'll open up the application, but then the Stream Deck, it won't show it here because if I have this open, it won't do the automatic shifting. But what will happen is automatically it'll change profile to that application because it says, hey, if you're using the Anki application, change to this view. So let me move these things over so you can see them better. And so what I have set up is, I can suspend a card, I can edit a card, or I can say it was hard, easier, easy, or super easy. And then because of the layout of this, I have two of these that basically act as a space character. So I could easily just, go through different questions, like for instance, some C++ questions. I could say, oh wait, I don't need to know about individual functions, so I accidentally made a bunch of these. I can suspend them, I can just press the @ symbol, and it suspends that card. A do while loop while executing the body code, then test the condition. So I can say, hey, show me that, add answer. Ah, yes, the loop condition, that was pretty easy. So I can say, hey, instead of pressing a 4 or by clicking the button, I can just press this little button on my Stream Deck and bam, it was easy. Suspend that one, and you can see how I can go through this. Now, the placement of my fingers for that for Anki is not too great, so I'm not really using the Anki one very much, but the functionality I'm trying to show is that you can actually use this with specific applications. The profile switches to that application's profile. If I'm editing videos in Final Cut Pro, it'll switch to my Final Cut Pro profile. Same thing for Obsidian. I have an Obsidian profile with a lot of other different functions and buttons to take advantage of different pieces of functionality, hotkeys or different commands. And that is what I'm going to detail for you today. If you enjoy my Obsidian content, want a copy of my custom CSS or my templates, or just want to know what I'm up to and when I might potentially offer courses on Obsidian or anything in general, you can sign up with the link in the description or pinned comment below, and I hope to see you there. Now, is a Stream Deck necessary for using Obsidian? Is it necessary in general for anything? No, it's not necessary at all. It's totally just for fun. And it's just because, hey, I got one, so now I can just use it and mess around. So one cool thing I want to show you guys, I'm going to show today, is how I use the Stream Deck with Obsidian. So you can see I have my workbench note here. I'm going to open up, let's do spaced repetition, and go into edit mode. Okay, so I'm in my spaced repetition note, and I have some keys here, a lot of different things that I can use with Obsidian. And one thing I want to do is I want to add a block reference. So I'm going to say, oh, I like this block of text. I want to add that to my workbench because I'm formulating a note, and I want to build a couple of these references. So let's do that. I'm going to say, oh yes, I like this block here. So I'm going to click my little button right here, and it adds a block reference to that block. And it also adds it to the workbench. Now, what this was really doing behind the scenes is there's a plugin I have installed by, I think it's Ryan Murphy. And what that plugin does is it makes a workbench note, adds blocks to it, and a bunch of other different stuff. But really, how does the Stream Deck interact with that? So what I have here is I have a button, and it's just a hotkey. It's a multi-action, but what the multi-action is doing is it's just running a single hotkey. And that hotkey for me is Option C, and that's it. Basically, it's running the hotkey for me, or it's doing the keyboard action. If I myself just use my keyboard and do Option C, it does the exact same thing. So basically, the Stream Deck is just pressing the hotkey for me. I could use the hotkey myself, but what if I don't remember all the hotkeys for every program all the time? If I just want to quickly, oh yes, I know what that picture is, I can just click the picture, bam, block reference added. Now, there's also a really cool thing you can do where you can string together multiple actions, and that's something that I do make a lot of use of. For instance, like this one, it has 6 actions in the multi-action. So let's first look at the workbench note. So if I go to the workbench note, oh wow, we have 3 inputted block references that have been transcluded, which means that they're going to actually display their contents. And these are all of the block references from the spaced repetition note. That's really cool. So let's see what happens when we go back to the spaced repetition note. We can see, oh yep, there's the block, there's the block, there's the block, great. But I'm done with my workbench note. I don't want anything in there anymore, and I'm going to clear it out. Well, this little button right here is the one that will clear out my workbench note. You can see the little broom, we're sweeping out everything, we're cleaning it up, and the little pencil lets me know it's my workbench note. So now I'm going to click that button, and what that will do is you can see it running multiple commands, and then finally selects the workbench, and it's clean. So what is contained in that multi-action? If I go into that one, actually I don't need that, I need to go into there. And it's saying, okay, we're going to run a hotkey, we're going to open up the command palette, we're going to insert some text, which is the workbench clear command in the palette. We're going to do just the enter key, select that command, open up the quick switcher, which is select the document, we're going to say workbench, select the workbench note, there. So basically all we did was string together a bunch of different commands to run the command to clear the workbench note, and then select that note. So once we cleared it, we're selecting the blank workbench. And that's it. So you can easily see how you can string together multiple pieces of functionality to achieve some pretty cool results, such as open up a terminal, insert some text. That text could be terminal commands or a script that you've written. Then the enter key to run that. Then the word exit, and then enter again to close the terminal. So basically you could just have a single button click running commands and scripts at will just by using the Stream Deck. So let's take a look at some of the other cool little automations I've made with the Stream Deck and Obsidian. So obviously this one will just create a new note, but if I click this one, it'll actually open up my graph view for me, which is pretty neat if I just want to quickly go and see my graph view. But one really cool thing I really enjoy is a plugin called I think it's this Smart Random Open Note. Basically, I'm able to easily exclude a bunch of directories and tags and things I don't want to see, but then open up files only from the search results. So basically I have a setup key here for the random search, and I'm using like the shuffle icon like you'd see in like a music player. I'm saying, hey, set up my search, which is, doing all this stuff, insert all that text. And really what that is a bunch of tags I don't want to see. I don't want to see my mocks. I don't want to see my utility notes. I don't want to see templates or anything from my daily notes, especially if I'm like, streaming or showing a video, filming a video. I don't want to like show up my private journal. So now with those search results and all those things excluded, I can just press my random button, and now it will actually open up random notes. Close that for you. It will open up random notes from my vault over and over and over again from those search results. So that way I never need to really worry about anything being shown that I don't want to have shown. And I can always just add it to my setup. Some of the really cool ones I have are the ones for the daily notes. So I can easily just go to today's note or traverse, prior notes or the next day's notes. I'm obviously not going to show those because that's my private journal. I do have let's just do this. I want a new note, completely new. And so it's saying, hey, we're going to open up a brand new note, insert my meta template for just all of the different content. Now, one thing you can see up here is I have my little space holder here. This is something I brought over from Vim, where I want to like find and replace these to basically add tab stops, because we don't have tab stops yet with templates. But I have this hotkey right here that runs some actions for me. So let's actually see what this does. It actually looks exactly like that text. So when I click that, it will actually find and replace that space holder. And now I can just type in my note. And so that actually lets me take advantage of a couple pieces of functionality. I can escape, get to normal mode, search for that text, find it, enter, and then CC, so I can easily change everything on that entire line, which is basically just stuff to do in Vim mode. So let's actually run through some of the examples that I'm going to use some of these buttons and macros for. Now, sometimes I do actually have to remap some of these hotkeys, which is why sometimes I just prefer to actually use the command palette and just like open up the command palette, run the command by searching for it. Because sometimes it's a little bit more future-proof than constantly having to change or modify hotkeys. But in any case, after fixing some while in the course of filming this, because I haven't actually been at my Stream Deck for a while and I've remapped some things, I actually want to show you guys like an example of what a full workflow might be for one of these notes. So I'm going to start brand new. So we have nothing open. I'm going to click my make a new note. So it's going to create a brand new note, insert my meta template. I can go to the top of this note, and then I can say, hey, search for my space holder. Excellent. Delete that, and now I'm ready to type. I can insert a single first level heading. We can call that test. I can insert some text with my lorem ipsum template. Awesome. Now I want to select all of this. This is content within a note. I want to actually extract that to a note all of its own. I can click that, and now it's a reference to a brand new note called test, because the heading is now the name of that note, and I have the content in here. And just like that, all that stuff has just been automated and super easily done with the Stream Deck. You can see how some of this stuff can be pretty powerful if you string it together and all the different options that you have available to you. Now, it's not like I'm using this constantly. If I'm at my desk, I might use some of this, but To be honest, I really enjoy just the hotkeys and making sure I know the hotkeys and doing everything with the keyboard in Obsidian because it's honestly very easy to traverse and move around in Obsidian. So I might actually use the Stream Deck if I'm sitting at my desk, but more often than not, I don't. I just thought this was like a cool little experiment of how I could apply the functionality of a Stream Deck to Obsidian workflows. So I'm not using this too much. It's kind of just for fun. I can also navigate to certain pages that I have or workspaces that I have, and it's kind of just for fun because I honestly don't really spend too much time at my desk unless I'm actually working for my job. So this was just a fun thing, a fun little experiment to try out. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was more of just like a fun experiment with what you could do with a Stream Deck and Obsidian. It's not really what I spend a lot of my time and a lot of my workflow using, so it's kind of just for fun. But a quick note before I go, I want to thank all the patrons who support this channel. Devin, Ed, Youngjung, Leonardo, Brandon, Klaus, Paul, John, Joel, John, and Alberto, and everyone else who donates on Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal, and anyone who provides support in any way. Thank you all for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it, and I hope I will see you all in the next one.